Hey there. Before we get started, I just wanted to come on and ask you all a favor. In our research, we've discovered that the vast majority of you do not actually like and subscribe to our podcast. And so, if I could ask you to do so, I won't ask you for anything else. And I promise to make this podcast the best I can every day. Me and the team really strive to do that for you. And so, if you could do this for us, we would be eternally grateful. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Mickelle Weber, founder and auteur of House of Peregrine. Expat, immigrant, pioneer, none of these were a fit, but Peregrine describes what we are all about perfectly. Those that craft their life story with intention. I've spent the last 6 years in awe of the life-changing connections and stories I have experienced while living abroad, and believe it is time for this adventure to be recognized, celebrated, and elevated to the life stage that it is. Through these interviews, I hope to connect those living internationally more deeply to both the place they are living and with themselves and those around them. We cover everything from international finances and meaning-making to global parenting and relationships to make your time abroad more intentional, edifying, and full of beauty. Find us at houseofperegrine.com, where you can find more ways to connect with the ethos of Peregrine. I hope you enjoy today's guest. Let's get started. Paola Bucciol is a children's book author and independent publisher. Her debut book, The ABCs of Amsterdam, A First Guide to the Capital of the Netherlands, is an alphabet travel guide of Amsterdam for young readers. It is the first in a series of first city guides designed to introduce the youngest readers and their parents to what is unique about other places around the world, and is published by City ABC Books. Born in Oslo, Italy, Paola fell in love with archaeology and travel at a young age. After graduating from university, she moved to Chicago, Illinois, where she met her husband. Paola knows that the more you know about a place, the more you feel at home. The same is true for children. During her time in the U.S., she contributed to over 40 museum exhibitions in internationally renowned museums across the country, most notably the Field Museum in Chicago. There, she created exhibitions that were a mixture of science and fun for children. After 10 years in Chicago, in 2018, an unexpected opportunity came up to come back to Europe, to Amsterdam, through her husband's career. Her 2 boys, then 1 and 3, came along for this adventure, but she didn't want to exclude them from this big change ahead for their family. An explorer at heart and a storyteller by trade, her adventures in getting to know Amsterdam with her children inspired the ABCs of Amsterdam. I love talking to Paola about bringing the vision of this book to life. She shared that she wanted to give other parents moving abroad the book that she wished she had to make the transition easier. I absolutely love this. If you are a parent who has moved abroad with little kids like I am, you know that it doesn't matter where you are from or why you are moving. You are just trying to make sure those tiny kids are feeling cared for, safe, loved, and of course, participating in the awe and excitement about a new life and adventure ahead. It can be overwhelming, but none of us would change it for the world. It's stories like Paula's and what she created as a result to make it a little more beautiful that made me so happy about speaking with her. I truly hope you enjoy her story. If you enjoy this podcast, please feel free to share it with a friend. This is the best way you can get the word out about House of Peregrine and our mission to connect people living internationally more deeply with themselves, each other, and the place they are currently calling home. Okay, on to the episode. Paola, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so happy to have you today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
I want to start right off by asking you to tell us a little bit about yourself and how and where you grew up.
My name is Paola Bucciol. I am originally from Italy. I moved to Chicago about 15 years ago for an internship and for love.
And wait. I'm going to stop you right there because I want to hear the growing up in Italy part. You skipped right over that. And I love to hear that part.
Yes. I spent about 28 years of my life in Italy, and I grew up in a small town, but beautiful, in the hills between the Dolomites and Venice, called Asolo. And I love my hometown. I love going back to it anytime I can. It's an historical town that goes back to the Roman times. And that was partially one of the reasons why I fell in love with archaeology. because it was just in my backyard. And that was something that informed me in my school choices over time. I went to the University of Venice. I studied there for about 8 years, and I have a degree in economics and one in conservation of cultural heritage. And the dream has always been of combining those two disciplines. And I love archaeology and history very much. And that is why I also love museums. And that's why I ended up after graduation going to America, going to Chicago. And I left with a 6 months visa and I stayed there for 10 years. And most of those years I worked at the Field Museum, the Museum of Natural History there. And I fell in love with developing exhibitions. I had the opportunity of learning this job. So it was kind of the coronation of my years and years of studying, years of passion learning and so on. And I ended up finding that in Chicago.
Nice. So it sounds like where you grew up, it really informed how you wanted to express yourself in the world. But what caused you to leave if you loved it so much?
I left because at that point, I was very interested in museums. And I knew the American museums had something that not all museums in the world have. So I was curious. It was the opportunity of learning something new from a professional point of view, but also experiencing a new culture. And partially at the point, I was also dating a guy who's now become my husband. So there was a combination of different things, but mostly the concept was exploring, exposing myself to something new. So new professionally, new personally, new also from a relationship point of view. So this is a combination.
So at some point when you were growing up, you thought, I want to explore. And I know I love these things.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have to be honest. I have to thank my parents quite a bit for exposing me from a very young age to different cultures. Growing up in Europe, one of my favorite things has been one of my favorite memories of growing up in Europe is the fact that you can just grab and go and find yourself in a different country, which means different language, different food, different culture as a whole within few hours. And I traveled often to Austria and Germany as a young kid, and that opened my mind so much. And actually, when I was in middle school, I started to go to Germany. Middle school, maybe early high school. I started to go to Germany on a family exchange and things like this. And that was a trampoline, I guess, for me, because it was just amazing to me that I could learn a new language, that I could appreciate how other kids lived and live in a new house that has different things, different habits, and so many different everyday things on top of the big differences in cultures. I just love that so much. And oddly enough, I found myself so interested and so kind of also encouraged to keep on exploring by my family. So yeah, it was a great combination of things.
And so your parents embraced that. They gave you all the opportunities. And so then it was just natural for you to go explore after that.
Did you know that House of Peregrine has an app? It is full of resources, information, and products to make life as an international more connected and more intentional. As a member of House of Peregrine, you also now have access to exclusive discounts, products, guides, and events to make life more fun and connected. Simply download the app at houseofperegrine.com and save it to your home screen.
Okay, back to the show.
Yes, it wasn't always easy for them, especially when I decided to move to Chicago, because it's a significant move.
Yeah,
But
if you met my mom, she could tell you, she would talk your ear off about kids moving across the ocean. So yes,
yeah,
mothers are
mother-
always the ones.
yes. And I kind of start to dread that moment because I know that it will come with my own children probably. And I hope that it will be as good as an open-minded as my parents have been. No, I have to say that the all exposure that I have experienced growing up really led me to this. It was quite natural, as you said, because I felt at ease being somewhere else. I feel still at ease being somewhere else because I bring so much curiosity with me, and I just love to see new places and meet new people, and being surrounded by different cultures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your journey from university took you to Chicago. And as you
Yes.
said, you worked at the Field Museum there. Tell us about that journey. So you moved to the US with a 6-month visa,
Yes.
stayed for love and maybe a love of the culture a little bit as well,
Mm-hmm.
and your job. What were you,
Yes.
tell us what you were doing there.
I left at the midsummer of 2008, and few days after I arrived in Chicago, I started my internship at the Film Museum. And after 6 months of working in 2 different departments, I decided to stick with one, and that was the exhibitions department. And that's where I had probably one of the biggest and best opportunities in my entire life of learning a new job, and great team, fun people to work with, a great project I was working on.
What was that project? Tell us about it.
It's an exhibition called Mammoths and Mastodons, and it was about mammoths and mastodons. And it's an exhibition that opened the day before I turned 30, so even more special for me. And it was a lovely project that also allowed me to use some of my personal interest and passion for archaeology, and allowed me to learn so much. It's an exhibition that traveled for 10 years after opening in Chicago, and it went kind of around the world, essentially. And it's
what was your part in the exhibition in creating it?
Yeah. I was working as an exhibition developer assistant, which means a person who works with curators and many other people in the museum, from collections managers and all the exhibition team members that put together the exhibition to kind of translate scientific content into content that is more approachable by everybody. And so I was writing text for exhibitions. I was developing interactive experiences, video scripts, and so on. And it was just amazing how much I was learning in a different language. And it was quite a journey. And
so you found yourself translating not only scientific research into something everyone can understand, also in English, which is not your native language.
Right.
That's amazing. Like, that's just like so much going on, and you're like loving it. You're just like in it and happy.
Yes. I was absorbing so much, both from a professional point of view, language point of view. I was just immersed in it. And I was lucky to find amazing people to work with, and they welcomed me as part of their team, and were also open to guide me through it, because it is not easy when you are not speaking the local language as fluently, because as my husband always says, my level of English right now is much different from the one that I had when I moved to Chicago back then. So I was learning a lot on the go, essentially. Yeah.
And they were open to that. So it made a huge difference that they didn't mind that you weren't maybe a native English speaker, but they were able to see past that into what you brought.
Yes, I would say that about each and every person that I worked with. Yes.
And what do you think that does for institutions or even art exhibitions to be able to set that aside and maybe have patience in a different way? What in your experience, what happens?
Everybody has their kind of personal and cultural background. And I believe it comes with a different point of view, different kind of take on things. Just the way we express a concept is very different. And so it brings different nuances, and it opens an opportunity to explain at different level the same concept, for example. I don't have a specific example in mind, but just if I'm looking at a work of art, I'm sure that as an Italian, because Italian students are exposed to so much art history throughout their school years, they bring in that perspective compared to maybe other people who are maybe more into the practical aspects of art. So we bring more art history in the mix, and maybe other people bring in more, more about the technique, for example. So it's, for me, it was a perfect storm, essentially, a perfect combination of me willing to learn and people around me that were willing to teach and were willing to put the time and willing to also value my contribution, because that's also important, right?
Yeah. And in as a result, you got an exhibition that toured the world for 10 years, as you said.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. It's still my favorite, I think. I say publicly, and then it's my favorite project ever.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I want to get to your books eventually, but I want to do the last part of your journey before we do that. Yeah. Because I know I'm eager to tell people about what you're doing now, but I want to do this last part of your journey up until now carefully, because I think that it's really beautiful. So you found out somehow, tell us a story. You lived in Chicago. You were working at basically your dream job. What was that? What was the next step?
So the next step in life, the big changes came when I became a mom. And this was still in Chicago. But then I was still involved in working with other museums, both local and in other states.
Really quickly, can you tell me, you had your children in the U.S. How was that different from where you grew up, or was it, or what did you experience there?
Good question. So obviously I have not become a mom in Italy, so I cannot tell the difference regarding becoming parents, having baby in Italy. I strongly believe in surrounding yourself with the right people, the people that feel right fit for you. So for me, it was a matter of finding the right doctors and, setting myself up for success in that sense, for sure. And then I also, at that point, I have a strong community of close friends that were going more or less through the same things, the same steps in life. And that made a huge difference. I would have had the same in Italy because everybody was approximately either having one or two kids at that time. So among my friends, so it was possibly the same. The biggest difference is when you are abroad is like there's your family your family is less involved in the process. But luckily, again, my family was able to travel, to see me, to see my baby and stay with us, to also bring that part into the equation, because ultimately we became an intercultural family and so a multicultural family. And so one of the things that we value is bringing in both aspects, both our backgrounds into our family. And so even from the get-go, with the presence of my parents and my sister and her family, it allowed for setting that tone. So I'm not sure I can really talk about the difference between becoming a family in Italy and becoming a family in America.
When you were there, did you find that your American friends, their parents were as involved as you would have thought your parents would have been if they lived closer?
I think so. I think that Italian grandparents at that point, they would be so Italian grandparents and American grandparents. I think they're pretty much equally involved. Oh, and as far as parenting, there's very different styles, and right now, again, publicly saying that I'm neither American, neither Italian as far as a parent, and neither Dutch at this point. It's a mix of all things. I do remember clearly my mom one day told me when she saw all the parenting books that I bought during the journey of preparing for the big day. It's like, you can read as much as you want, but you have to pick and choose because you cannot be a parent by the book. And that is a message that I kept in the back of my mind because honestly, I believe that my cultural baggage as a parent is, or my tool bag as a parent is bigger because I'm exposed to 3 different cultures of parenting right now. And there are things that I appreciate in all of these cultures, and that inform the way that my husband and I parent our children.
Yeah, you get to pick and choose. So, and your kids, your third culture in your home.
Right now we are.
Yeah, 3 cultures in the culture of your home, kind of, which is always very rich. And so it sounds like you really use that to your strength. And I just think it's fun to hear the differences. There's always stories when you first become a parent.
Yeah.
And also you were in your partner's country.
Yes.
And so that's always very rich as well. Like, because they're telling you how it's going to be and how it should be. And then you're kind of fighting or having to bring in your own culture. And so I think it's super rich, and it's an experience I haven't had, but I think it's, just super beautiful. So fun. Okay. So then after a few years, tell us about the big move back to Europe.
Yes. So I was in Chicago for 10 years. Just backtracking for a minute, because I'm right there right now in the Netherlands. Around year 5, between 5 and 6 of being in Chicago, I felt finally at home there. And I talk about it retrospectively because right now I'm in the same stage here in the Netherlands. We have been here for 5 years and change. We felt right at home, perfect alignment of everything. And, but in the back of my mind, especially, but also, an interest from my husband's side, was always kind of coming back to Europe, not necessarily to Italy, but to Europe, to have again that experience of being exposed to so many things within a small amount of space, within a small geographical area. And at one point, like, what are we going to do? And it's like, it came a little bit of as a surprise, because it was not necessarily pursued, but my husband received a job opportunity here from here. And so we decided to take it. And it's like, this is a great time, all these big questions, because now we have two kids, one that is about to be school age and the other one is a baby. What are we going to do? And this is a perfect timing, because if we don't like it in the Netherlands, we can come back and our older son can just fit right back into his school path. And we moved here. And I remember I was in Italy when we kind of made the decision, and my husband was in America when we made the decision. We were looking at houses, and we were looking at discussing different things that surround a relocation. We said, we're going to give it a try. My husband especially believes in, I would prefer to regret the decision instead of not have the possibility to regret it. I don't know if I necessarily believe in the concept of regret, but I felt that given all the conditions, I was in job transition at that point. The kids were also in perfect age for relocation, and we did it. And it was end of October 2018 when we moved to Amsterdam. It was just right before the days started to get very short. So we got to enjoy a little bit of it before winter came.
Before the weather where we all forget why we moved here for approximately 6 months. Then it's back to, this is the best place ever. No, and so you left somewhere, it sounds like Chicago was fine. Like it felt like home. You were fully feeling it, and then adventure called, basically. And it became the opportunity that you knew in the back of your minds you might want to make it to Europe. So you just took it. And isn't it incredible how that matrix of children's ages and everything just has to play out so perfectly?
Yes.
And so when you arrived in the Netherlands, tell us the story of where you were and how you evolved into writing these beautiful books.
Yes. We arrived at the end of October. And so soon we were about to experience the big celebrations related to Sinterklaas. And Sinterklaas was probably the biggest first cultural exposure that my kids had. And I didn't know anything about Sinterklaas really, other than a few things I read here and there. So right before, once we decided to move to the Netherlands, we started to talk to our kids about the Netherlands and teach them a few words, showing them videos, cartoons, and reading books about the country that we were going to move to, which we started to call the land of windmills, tulips, and bikes. We wanted to kind of give them some benchmarks. Like once you get there, then you will start to see a lot of these things. We were off with the tulips because it's not tulip season, but you can see references to it in different ways to here in Amsterdam. And we moved here, and we started to walk around the city. The kids, we took the kids to see the one windmill here. And then this encounter almost face to face with Sinterklaas happened. And we had to learn to put the shoes out We had to learn about putting the carrots and singing a song, writing a poem, make a drawing, all these things in a very rushed way, without understanding really the meaning of it. Because at that point, our kids were not in school yet, because we opted, given the age of our older son, to wait until after the new year. So those first 2 months, we decided that he was just stay with us at home with me, really, because my husband started to work almost immediately. And so that we could get to explore the city together.
Yeah. And I just want to give anyone listening who doesn't know. So Sinterklaas is like a children's holiday in the Netherlands. It's rather controversial at this point, but there's the tradition is for children and it's a little bit like the US Santa Claus in a way, but it's a figure that comes and you put your shoes out at night and you get small gifts for like 2 weeks before where in the US we celebrate Christmas, other places in the world they celebrate Christmas. But so the shoes go out and then there's a big Sinterklaas night where the presents come. It's mostly only for children. And it's again, rather controversial and a little bit shocking when you first arrive to see. And then as a parent, it really is important that you know what to do. And so if you're just arriving, which I did the same, no clue this was a holiday or it even existed. And suddenly you're tasked with doing this big cultural thing and knowing the right things and all this stuff. And so, yeah, I can imagine that was quite intense.
It was a wake-up call. You have to learn quite fast. And because I also find that there are many traditions here and they're only found here. And they don't exist in Italy. They don't exist in America as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And so, but I also like the challenge and learning how to properly celebrate things. So, as a local or bringing them in in our calendar, because I always make a joke that between Halloween and 6th of January, between all the Americans and the Dutch and Italian traditions, my kids could eat candy every day because starting with Halloween. And the 6th of January is Epiphany, when the Befana comes in Italy. It all is about candy and sweets and treats and gifts and such. It's like that is a big calendar to support and to endure for a parent in terms of pacing all these streets and so on. So
and getting it right. So when the kids went to school, you learned that you're doing a lot of things wrong.
Yes, it's another wake up call, because that was starting in January when my older son went to school. Then it was real immersion in the Dutch culture.
Yeah,
and the first thing that was really unsettling to me was the holiday schedule, the agenda, the school agendas, so many breaks, a short summer. How are we going to fit in visits with families, since we have family in 2 different parts of the world? And you get adjusted to it, but it takes a little bit. For example, that is one big adjustment. And then, explaining to the kids why the locals are celebrating something that is not part of your traditions, or you don't even know anything about it.
Yeah. Like holidays came fast and furious my first year that I lived here. And my son, people who listen to this show often know I tell this story. Like my son, the first few months we lived here, finally just said, "Mommy," I just kept saying, I don't know. We'll have to find out. And he said, "Mommy, what do you know?" He was 5. And so I went from knowing everything. When you're in your own country, you know everything. And when you move to another country, and as you know very well, twice now, you get to not know a lot of things, which can be exciting if you have right. But also you do flounder sometimes and have to make it your own.
Yes, especially when you have somebody else who was asking questions and looking for an explanation.
Yeah. And I think that you had this epiphany, and if I recall, it was in front of an olive stand.
Yes, indeed.
Which, for those who don't know, is around Christmas, these stands show up in Amsterdam and the Netherlands, I think everywhere. They have these little balls that are in oil. They're delicious. They're sprinkled with sugar. They're everywhere. So you had an epiphany in front of one. And what was that epiphany?
I think it took me 2 years to really understand what an olive bowl was and to start to understand that all these stands were popping up. And it's like, I had this epiphany. So something was already kind of starting to gearing up in my head about, I really have all this experience in writing and in the museum world. Right now, I can't access the museum world right now because I put more effort in figuring out my children's integration rather than focusing maybe on learning the language. Anyway, some choices, everybody make their choices, right? About how to put what to prioritize.
When people ask me why I don't speak Dutch, I always just say I had 3 toddlers when I moved here.
Yeah.
Keeping their nervous systems afloat was my job.
Yes.
In an international move. It's not an excuse, but it is important work. And you do have to choose your battles when you have tiny kids like this.
Yes. I agree with you on this one. And especially because no matter what, even for us adults, it's overwhelming. And there's so many things to get adjusted to. But anyway, I ended up, I like sweets. I like another public revelation. But it's also one of the things that I value when I travel. Like, I like to taste different things. And olive oil, at one point, I understood what they were, and they were seasonal treats, and they were specifically just in the last days of fall, beginning of winter treats. And one day I was just in line, and it's like, with all the things that I was thinking about how to put myself back into the professional field, essentially, like ideas came up. And the idea of writing an alphabet book about Amsterdam as a way to explain Amsterdam to new coming kids. So kids who will just arrive, families who would like to explore as a family, the city that they just moved in, or to help them prepare for their move. Because I think that between when we moved here and now, there's so many more people who decide to make Amsterdam their home. And I noticed that, and the schools that our kids attended, between my older and my younger classes, there's a big difference. So there's so many more international families who decide to relocate to Amsterdam, even if already was a big expat destination almost 6 years ago. But I found that this idea of the book was one of few ideas that I had, and this came to fruition, and I approached it as I would have approached developing the content for an exhibition. I created my team, which I enjoyed doing very much, working especially with the illustrator. I loved being in a creative project again. And I loved that it was also an opportunity to learn a lot about Amsterdam, about the history, about the culture. So I sat down and I wrote down the letters of the alphabet, English alphabet, because many people ask me, what language did you write the book? I wrote it in English because that's my writing language at this point. And I also translated it into Italian, but I had to ask my friend Julia to kind of edit the Italian translation, because at this point, writing in Italian doesn't come as flawless as it is used to. And
so this is new for me. So sometimes there's like mother tongues and you start a relationship in a language, but you also have a writing language.
Yes.
That is really, really cool. So you speak 2 more languages?
Right now I claim that I speak, 2 languages. I speak 2 languages, but over time I learned many languages.
Yeah, of course. And then do you speak a certain language at home?
We speak mostly English.
Mostly English. And their kids speak Dutch at school, and then you write in English, but your mother tongue is Italian.
Italian. My kids speak with my parents and my family, with some Italian friends. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I love this idea of writing language. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so you decided to first write it in English.
Yes. And it came natural. It was like the Oli Bolin. I owe this Oli Bolin so much. I was there and it's like, I have this idea. O is going to be for Oli Bolin. And then from there, very few letters I had to struggle with finding the word that I would attach to them. Because I strongly believe that the more you know about a place, the more you can appreciate it and possibly love it. And so I started to absorb all of this information, and I started to absorb all this information the moment I moved here, honestly.
But you spent 2 years curating the city for your kids.
Exactly. So those 2 years, I actually should credit my children really as content experts because I saw Amsterdam also through their eyes, through the age of a 4 and a 1.5-year-old. And so I had to, from the get-go, look at experiences and things that were valuable to them. Things, for example, the playgrounds. The playgrounds, they're one of the most interesting things here in Amsterdam. I think for any foreigner, for foreign families who come to Amsterdam, they will immediately notice how many playgrounds there are in the city. And they're just beautiful, and they're everywhere, and big, small, just 2 pieces of equipment to qualify as a playground here. And the museums that are open to people of all ages, from babies to elderly people, and there's always something for the children to do. And then the restaurants with their things for the children, whether it is the drawing paper in colors or the little kind of play corner. It was the revelation that this is a place where kids belong to, and there's a space that is made for them.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was great to enjoy all of these things.
I had the same. I moved here with similar age kids, and I just remember feeling like I'm welcome too as a mother. So it was my children are welcome, but because my children are this age, they're always with me. So therefore I'm welcome, which made me think everyone's welcome.
Yes. There's one place, when we moved here, we stayed in a temporary housing and not far from the zoo, and not far from the temporary housing that we were staying at. There was a beautiful cafe. Shall I say the name? Dignita, the one by the former Hermitage Museum.
Yeah, we've been there a lot.
Yeah, it has become a hangout place for me because there was a children's corner there.
Yep.
And it was also, that's another thing that I like here, that many, if not most cafes are beautiful. They're beautiful spaces in beautiful spaces within the city. And, they're just so welcoming, and children are always welcome. So whether you're going, at whatever time you're going, there's always something for everybody. And that became a little bit of a hangout place. And
so in that result, so you were in a similar transition in your journey as a mother, where you got to fall in love with the city more because you got to be out in the city with your children, feeling welcome everywhere. For me, that's one reason I fell in love with Amsterdam, is because of that. Because in that moment of your life, you can feel like you're relegated to indoors or to like children's places, or you can feel welcome in the city. And that's a major difference. So now that your children are away at school, those are still your favorite places. That's an incredible insight that maybe other cities don't have. It's like, it's only allowed for adults, people, but there's so many transitions we go through as humans that, that Amsterdam does account for, and maybe other cities, but I haven't found them.
There might be some, but this is particularly kind of multi-generational. Let's put it this way. The same place you always find. There's another favorite place is the Vondeltuin. The cafe with the big playground attached. A playground that is also one of my favorite because it is a historical. I always say that the kids of Amsterdam play at playgrounds that made history of architecture, became an urban kind of design, because Aldo van Eyck was the urbanist who designed many hundreds of playgrounds. Very few of them still exist, but those bars and the domes and the kind of the big sandboxes surrounded by kind of the stone rings and so on, those are his signature, and they have been studied kind of as a social element, not just an urban design and playground design. And those playgrounds are my favorite. And the Vondeltuin has some original elements I read from Aldo van Eyck, which is, they are almost 80 years old by now. So check it out while you drink your beer or your Coke or whatever you're drinking, and you can play.
Yeah, but it makes a difference to the soul of the place if an architect is building children's play architecture. It's a totally different mindset that I just loved when I was in that point of my life. It was so nourishing to have a city that is that attuned to the full spectrum of human existence and ages and everything. So for me, that was the thing I fell in love with as a mother of young children. Like it really held me. And I think that it sounds like you felt the same. And it was really hard to describe, but coming from the US, there's like a playground, and that's where the kids go. The kids don't go anywhere else besides McDonald's or, whatever.
Yeah.
And so it was I think it brought me back to life after having children, to be in the city with young children, because I was allowed to be everywhere. I was welcomed everywhere. It wasn't a problem. And I had 3 kids under 4. So
yes, one more than me. And I understand it. For me, it was also a nice transition, because in Chicago, we had some of these elements, and we lived in the city center, and we had access to art and culture very easily, even with the kids. Maybe it has to do with also being centrally located in the big city for us. But I think that the biggest difference that I experience is how much life is lived outside here.
Yeah.
And it has to do with bikes. It has to do with the playgrounds. It has to do also about with the possibly, in a way, the freedom, safety that kids get to experience very early on, get to experience earlier, and they playing in the little square, or going by bike.
From a young age, they're encouraged to navigate the city.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my biggest regrets has been for a while now that we didn't invest in the buckfeeds earlier than we did because that's a life changer. So any parents listening to this who don't have buckfeeds but have more than one child, consider that.
Just do it. Yeah.
And yes, just do it really, because it's a life-changing for the whole family, I must say. And it empowers longer trips and family time in a way. And I waited almost 2 years, if not 2 full years. And I still appreciate how much effort it took me to paddle over some bridges with two kids, one in front, one in the back of a regular bike.
Yeah.
And I love those times too. But now with the buckfeeds, I'm just a happy-go-lucky mom.
Yeah, you own the city in a way.
Yes.
It's like you're king of the city, or queen of the city.
And that's why that had to be part of my book as well. Like the buckfeeds had to be part of the book.
Let's get into that. So finally, I love talking to you so much about other things, but finally we get to your book, The ABCs of Amsterdam.
Yes.
And it feels like you wrote it as a love letter a bit to other mothers coming, and mothers and parents coming, and children, and then to the city as well.
I never thought it that way. And it's such a poetic way to describe it that I think I agree. It is a welcome letter. I called it the first guide to the capital of the Netherlands. And it's not just a guidebook. It's really like, here is this is your starting point. This is where what you should know about the city that you chose to be your home. And then this is a tool for you and your family to explore it and make it your own. Because I decided to choose these 26 words. They are representative of Amsterdam, of Dutch culture to an extent, and obviously filtered through the eyes of a person who's not local. I decided to include some Dutch words in there, which were some of the words that we taught our children, so that they could say hello to other kids at the playground, or order something at the cafe, or things like this, to just feel a little bit more at home here when we moved. And little did I know by then that they would just pick up Dutch so fast, leaving me completely behind on that. Yes, it is a welcome / love letter. Maybe more so to the city. It's more so than to the city. It's more for the new families who are coming here. And because we kind of share that. Even if we don't know each other, we know that we all go through the same, more or less, with more or less emphasis and so on, through the same things, through the same process of thinking process, through the same experiences of when it comes to school search, when it comes to choosing the kids' activities, and it's like all those things, choosing where to live in the city. And so, yeah.
And it's important to have, through your book, you're able to give a small gift to those that are arriving, that to say, hey, we're all connected. We've been through it. Here's my gift to you, my welcome to you. And I think also, if you have that age kids that would appreciate that book, you're already connected as well. And we always say at House of Peregrine that you can have more in common with someone from across the world than from where you grew up. And this is that idea where it's a unique experience to move abroad, but then it's a unique experience to move abroad to Amsterdam. And so you're here to bring warmth to that and experience, and maybe be in awe of the same things. Because maybe if a Dutch person would have written it, they wouldn't have noticed the same things. Because as we all know, in our own culture, we don't see things are just normal.
Yes, that is very true. And I, before publishing it, I shared the draft and some ideas about words for each letter with some Dutch friends, and I learned that some of the things that are included in the book were like not really known facts, for example, or, in passing you heard, but I think that the book, uh, is an opportunity to increase your appreciation even for your own city. And as a matter of fact, some Dutch friends said that it should be translated into Dutch because it's an introduction. It's a good base of information also for the local kids.
Yeah. But also if you want to learn another language about your city.
Oh, yes, that is very true because it's written in English. So the whole idea of writing an ABC book was also to be able to connect with readers of different ages. And having it fully illustrated also contributed to that. And I wanted to be visually beautiful, to have a different hierarchy of text so that it could appeal to the young readers who are starting to learn the letters, so they could recognize the letters, and the bigger ones who could get a deeper information about the city, and also including kind of a tip that would be either for very curious kids or older kids, or for the parents to kind of stimulate this adventure of discovering the city together. Because if you go through this book, the whole idea is to spark interest, to spark the desire of going out there and explore by yourself.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Well, you've certainly done it. It's a really beautiful book and a really beautiful concept. Very, very much from the spirit of what House of Peregrine is about. So I really connect with what you're doing. So this book you can purchase already.
Yes.
And tell me what's next.
What's next? What's next is another book in the making, similar to this, the ABCs of London, because right now London is the top in my list of favorite places. And I just I fell in love also with that city after many years of often not visiting. I recently visited again, and I've been back a few times since. That is a huge city. And when I come back to Amsterdam, I feel like I'm a little bit in a village, a very active, very active, very energetic village, which is what is attractive about Amsterdam too, because everything is very close. And at one point, you cannot go by one day without seeing somebody you know.
Yep.
And it makes it home.
Yeah.
When you start seeing people on the street, say hello to a couple of people here and there, in unexpected places, that means you are local at that point.
Yeah.
If not culturally, at least you belong here at one point, and you feel that way. And that's when I was talking about 5 years mark in Chicago. That's where I am right now here. And it feels good. It feels good to feel at ease, that you belong, that you're living. It's kind of unlocking a different level of in the experience of in relocation. And so next book is going to be a London book. My dream would be to, because of my passion of archaeology, would be to write about ancient cities, not just modern cities. So we will see if that will come to fruition. That I guess that will depend on me mostly.
Yeah.
So,
but that's really also an interest of mine. I think it's really, really fun because you can learn a lot about the future from the past. So it's really cool.
I do believe so. That's probably where my interest in history comes from, because the city, any place, and any person, any place, anything is what it is today because of what happened in the past. So learning the history tells you so much about what you are experiencing today. And that's why I imbued the book with historical fun facts, because it brings the city to life. It gives information, and it tells you why things are done in this way here compared to how they're done somewhere else.
I always say it gives you a hint of the cult behind the culture.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's very cool. Well, I love your book. I love what you're up to. And I wanted to ask you one last question, because I ask this a lot. So when you think of you're here in the Netherlands for 5 years, feels like home. When you look out 20 years with your kids, and like you said, I loved how you said you dread every day them flying away, but you're also looking forward to it and hoping. How do you think about that? How do you not even plan for it, but how do you prioritize things? Because people our age, with kids that are now school age and now going into middle school, for me, it's like, there's no roadmap to what life should look like. It's open road. So how do you think about when your kids get older, where you'll settle, where is home, where is your final destination? How can you walk me through? And maybe you don't know, which is also okay, but I'd love to hear.
Well, we are in a place of we don't know exactly yet, but there are things that start to pop up, because our older son in 2 years will be confronting the big decision of the high school, the process, not decision, the process of high school, but also the decision whether he wants to stay in the Dutch system or he wants to go international, for example. And also the timing of choices. You don't want to disrupt the children's life so much. So you kind of go like with the big school transitions, for example. Mm-hmm. So even just thinking of, let's move to another city in the Netherlands, for example, say that, or just outside of Amsterdam, that has a lot of things that come into place. My husband sometimes jokes. Sometimes he's serious. Maybe the children should consider going to college in America. Maybe I respond because I went to university in Italy and I have great memories, as much as he has fond memories of his experience in America, for example. So I guess that as the kids grow older, they also have a lot to say into these decisions about their life choices. But there still are family choices, and there's always, as an expat, you can feel like you belong into a place, but you're not 100% from that place. You don't have that 100% attachment that you feel for us to America or to Italy, for example. And so it's your home by choice rather than by
heritage.
Yes, let's say that way. So there's a lot of opportunities, I guess. That I see them as opportunities rather than as, and so the process might be challenging to get to the decisions. I envision it to be this way because there's so many options.
Yeah.
so many choices and options, really. Like, where do you want to go to university? In the Netherlands, in Italy, or in America? It's like, that's not a joke.
Yeah.
And for a young kid to have to work this through. And I think that there's a lot of conversations in the future about all of these.
So you see it as a work in progress, it sounds like.
Yes, I see it as work in progress. I cannot tell you where we would be in 20 years. And
which is not something a lot of adults can say in the world.
That is right.
Yeah,
that is right.
Know where we will be in 20 years is not something a lot of adults say.
Yeah, it is true. I feel that I cannot project myself either. That's also a little bit of a personal, but also part of the experience. Like whenever something happens in your life and you decide to pack and go, you always think this might happen again. And so that's where the willpower kicks in. No, we're staying put. Even if the choice is very attractive, or what is really going to be the gain in making that next transition. For now, I don't want to do any transition. I was like, I dread moving to a new house again.
Yeah.
Just moving is a big undertaking, after you move so many times. It's like, because like here we moved 3 times essentially. In Chicago also a few times. So it's like we want to feel at home in one place. And
yeah,
it's, I think that, I have a t-shirt with an embroidery that says, I don't know where, as long as we're together. And I buy that concept. I strongly feel that way. And I love that. Yes, that we are a family who relocated here. And the goal is to retain the family, because and kind of let all these influences in and process those as a family and make it our own, whatever we like, and that sticks and that talks to us and that speaks to us. And I love that. And I also, one thing that we were touched a little bit on, it's like living in a different culture from where you grew up. Moving to the Netherlands is, for my husband and I, the first time that we live, each of us, in a culture that is not our own.
Oh, yeah.
And especially for my husband, it was a significant change, I think, because it was the first time he lived this long time away from America. Mm-hmm. And it's a defining experience. Your life is changed. And I think in many ways it makes people who you grew up with, or people you encountered and you left behind in your previous place and so on, kind of curious about the process, because not everybody can relocate. It's not for everybody, right?
Yeah.
But we love to have people visit.
Yeah.
We love to show how we live. We love to hear what they feel like about our lifestyle.
Yeah.
And we might be jealous in a way of the fact that they just chose where to live and they don't have to think about where to move next if as an option.
Yeah. They don't have to translate anything. They don't have visas.
Like, they don't have to deal with all of that stuff. But at the same time, I think that the biggest challenge, not the biggest challenge, but also in a good way, not in a bad way, is really keep us as a family grounded.
Yeah.
And acknowledging where we all come from and where we all are.
Yeah.
And the ABCs of Amsterdam was my attempt of sharing that ground. So I have kids and families who move here covered in a way. And I love the fact that the book is a gift that the summer relocation companies give to the families who move here.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great way to help them in the first days, weeks, months, maybe as a little reference.
Yeah. I would even buy it as a going away gift.
I agree. Some schools said that to me, and it's just a memory.
Yes.
It can be a welcome, but also like this will stay with you forever.
And I have nieces and nephews that always visit. And so as a gift for them when they leave, I think it's a beautiful gift as well. Because they get to know the city quite well if they're here for a few weeks. So they know, they are in a Bakfiets, they're going to the city, they go to the Rijksmuseum. And so I think it's, overall, it's a great, great resource, beautifully done. I can't wait for people to check it out. And I love your story. I love how you approach the world. And thank you so much for sharing everything with us today and for giving us this beautiful book.
Thank you for having me and for being a small part in the House of Peregrine community.
You are a peregrine. We've established that.
Yes, we are.
Great. Well, thank you so much. And we'll link. So what's the best way people can reach out or find you?
So if you're interested in connecting with me, Instagram is the best way.
And is it at ABC Books, or tell us this address?
It's the ABCs of Amsterdam book.
Okay.
And
we'll link it below as well.
Excuse me?
We'll also put it in the show notes.
Yes, great. And email hello@cityabcbooks.com. Most of these are the two main ways that I stay in touch.
Great.
And I would love to hear from anyone who's interested in chatting more about living in Amsterdam.
Perfect.
Experience.
I'm sure people will. And thanks so much. And everyone check out the book. And we will we'll catch up with Paola again soon.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed our show. For the latest insights on living internationally, join us at houseofperegrine.com to find out how you can connect with our community. Let's craft our life story with intention together.